What up guys, SuperMetal983 here bringing you another album review, and this time we've got a very solid EP for you to check out. If you're into your heavy, and I mean heavy deathcore, then this is definitely a release that you need to check out. But I'm going to be talking about the debut EP from the band Suffer, entitled Heavy Silence. This is a self-released EP. Now, if you're not too familiar with Suffer, they are based in the UK from Wolverhampton, if I'm not mistaken, and they play a very aggressive, a very menacing style of deathcore with some hints of like brutal deathcore and beatdown influence sprinkled on there for good measure. And yeah, this is my first exposure to the band, musically anyway. I mean, I've seen them live a couple of times. I saw them at Fall in the Brawl, I can't remember which year it was, and that was when I first got acquainted to them. And then I saw them, well, it was last month, I think it was, March or February, something like that, in Newcastle, supporting Sanity Check, a local hardcore sort of punk band. So if you're into that sort of stuff, definitely check them out. But yeah, this was my first proper exposure to the band at that show, and I was really hyped because I'd heard that there were songs that they released on Slam Worldwide in leading up to this EP's release, and I was really impressed with everything that I'd heard, and I couldn't wait. I honestly couldn't wait to hear this full EP. And then I got in contact with various members, and one of them, I can't remember which one it was, sent me the promo to review on the channel, and here we are today. So let's crack on with this review. Now, it's 6 tracks and runs around 24 minutes in length, and I was expecting a lot from this EP to be an absolute barbaric assault on my senses, and something that I couldn't walk. I would be walking funny after listening to it, should we just say. And quite frankly, it has done that justice, if you ask me, because this is easily one of the most pummeling deathcore releases that I've heard so far in 2020. And I know I've had quite a few releases in the deathcore world so far this year, but this one has to be one of the best EPs I've heard so far, if you ask me. It's just repulsively and savagely heavy. Like, it kind of puts us in mind, when I listen to it, a bit of a mix of like I Declare War, Osiah, and Within Destruction. So if them had a threesome to make a love child, then it would spit out Suffer from the UK, if you ask me, because this EP is absolutely menacing, if you ask me. The production kind of reminds us of an old album that I listened to back in the day called There's No Place Like Home, by a band called Bust a Move, if you've ever heard of them. Very underground band. I think they called it quits a couple of years back, but it kind of reminds us of that kind of MySpace era sort of mentality to the production. It's very raw, but it's still very loud and promising. Every bit of the dynamics on this release, it just screams out OG shit, if you ask me. And I love that old school MySpace deathcore when it was just heavy savage breakdowns left, right and centre that would just punch you right in the face, and this EP definitely does that. So if you ask me, it's very low tuned and very gnarly sounding from the guitars. I believe it's Drop Ear that they play in, which is the same tune that most deathcore bands play in, and it just picks up a lot of savagery in there. The breakdowns just wallop, yeah, I mean, with those bass drops on top of that, it just makes it just even more diabolical and just uneasy to listen to. Like, it really ruptures you inside when you listen to this release, and especially on the first track of this EP, which is called Out of Darkness, with that ambient sort of intro building up the suspense, and then it kicking in with some like really interesting chords in there, giving it a sort of like kind of a melodic sort of feel to it, but then it just comes out of nowhere with repulsive heaviness, and I think that's what kind of emanates well with the Bust a Move sort of influence in there. Kind of, it's what I initially felt when I first listened to this EP, and I absolutely love that album, and this EP is absolutely incredible as well. And then it flows into the second track, which was one they released not too long ago, which is called For We Are Wretched, which features the walrus himself, Tyler Shelton of Traitors. And wow, that combination, just if you've heard Suffer on any of the singles released prior to that single, yeah, you can imagine that's a recipe for absolute violence, if you ask me, and it is. I was mighty impressed with that single, and I showed the lads as soon as because I checked it out, and then I was meeting up with my band members, and I was just like, guys, just stop. You've got to hear this, and we'll put it on. And I was just looking at the guys, and they were in awe as well, because that song is, as it says, it's wretched to listen to. It's absolutely fantastic. Then that flows into another incredible song called Embraced Wrath, another incredible single to check out as well. You might as well check out all this EP. It's absolutely fantastic. If I'm not mistaken, the stream is on Slam Worldwide, and all the singles are still up there, so there'll be links down below. And then flows into the fourth track, which is called The Cruelest Creation, featuring Hayden, I can't say it very well. Hayden of Old Wharf. If you haven't checked out Old Wharf, another incredible deathcore band hailing from the UK, and I also believe they are also from Wolverhampton, where Suffer is based as well. And yet, that combination as well, just like Tyler Shelton, is just a recipe for absolute violence, and it's another great song, and it's just like, it's just so intense to listen to, and you just rest up thinking like, oh, that's the end of the song, and then another breakdown hits you like really hard in the face, like really hard, and take my word for it, it's absolutely fantastic. And then Gasman is the fifth track on this EP, which is another incredible song, and that one kind of feels like it pays a little bit more homage to, I think it was Gasman or it was The Cruelest Creation, but either one of them both sound like they could have been written in the MySpace era. They have that delicate or that distinctive feeling that those bands in those days definitely did, and that, in my opinion, definitely makes the release just incredible, if you ask me. And then we go on to the final track, which is another song they released, which is called Slither, which I believe they did a music video for, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, in my honest opinion, that one is still, after listening to this a bunch of times, still my favourite song on this EP. It's just repulsively heavy, and I mean, the last breakdown on it, it will put you in hospital, and not because of the coronavirus. It will put you in hospital because it is an absolute hammer dropper. It just drops like a 10-ton slam hammer right on your fucking head, and it's just incredible. There is a lot of influence on this EP from the likes of down-tempo, beatdown, and slam, and other subgenres from the deathcore world, but it is, in my opinion, as if it was pulled from the MySpace era. So if you're into that MySpace style of deathcore, but would like some modern touches of down-tempo, beatdown, and slam, then this is definitely a release for you. And my favourite tracks would definitely be Slither and For We Are the Wretched, but also check out the other tracks. Those tracks are absolutely fantastic. There will be links down below, as I said, to their Facebooks and all that, and I believe the EP is up for pre-order on CD along with some nice merch, so make sure you pick up some merch from these guys. They are absolutely killing it, and this EP is going to do them a world of good. They deserve a lot more support than they get. Make sure you check them out. They are absolutely incredible. For an overall score, I'm going to give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic, and I just cannot wait for a follow-up from this EP. And hopefully, when I get paid, I'll be able to pick up a copy on CD. So keep an eye out for that when an update and purchase comes along. But yeah, I'll see you until the next video. And remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.